Welcome to the Gate of Life podcast, your number one resource for living a better life every single day. I'm your host, Justin Flinner, acupuncturist, Tai Chi instructor, and coffee lover, and I will be leading you on a new journey. Each episode in the Gate of Life podcast will help you to start feeling a little bit more like you. Now, I'm sure 2020 was a year that forced you to question a lot of areas in your life. Your career, your finances, your relationships, your health, your political affiliations, and perhaps your beliefs. As you walk with me in the new evolution of this podcast, I will guide you through these areas of your life and through the Gate of Life to a place where you can look out into the world with open eyes and an open heart, where you can learn to enjoy life and all that it has to offer you. On behalf of My Mature Medicine, I thank you for being here with me. Now, let's go take your first step through the Gate of Life. Hey everyone, we're back. And as you can tell, the podcast is a little changed. We shifted our name. That's right. We went from the Justin Flinner podcast to the new Gate of Life podcast. A little more peaceful, right? Now, we didn't change the name just because, like sometimes you change your room around, you like the furniture in a different place. No, we changed it because, like everything in life, this podcast is evolving. And we get a little closer to the source of why we're doing this podcast. And after I took a look at all the previous episodes, I noticed that obviously it's aligning with helping you to live a better life. So why not focus a little bit more closer on that aspect of our podcast by changing the name? And it's 2021. I think we would all like to get back to our lives. We just want things to get back to normal. Now, yes, it will be a new normal, but some semblance of what life we used to have would be nice. Without masks, without worrying about getting less than 6 feet away from somebody. So we're going to start this year off strong. You are going to start this year off strong. Because we need to get back to our lives eventually. And the moment that this pandemic is gone, masks are off of our faces, and we can actually get close and handshake or even hug someone, then we will be back to what we consider to be normal. The only way we can do that, though, is if we prepare. And that's what we're doing here. Our mission in 2021, our mission with the Gate of Life podcast is to get you prepared. Prepared for what? Well, to get back to the way that things used to be, but in that new way. So your foundation that you have been building over the years, your career, your life, your business, your relationships, have probably in some way changed or even crumbled before your eyes. You may have had significant loss. You may have had significant gain during this pandemic. But your foundation has been rattled. And the only way that we can stand tall and stand strong is if we, like in our very first video that we published this week, is focus on how we do that, our posture. So you take a stance. When you stand tall, you raise your head up, put your shoulders in place, align your body, put your feet right underneath you, and you feel tall. When you sit, you do the same thing. When you move, you do the same thing. We need to have a balanced posture. Now, what is your posture in life right now? Are you stuck? Do you feel like you can't move? Do you feel as though someone or something is holding you in place? Is the pandemic controlling you, or are you allowing the pandemic to control you? Of course, we need to have certain restrictions in our lives and make sure that we keep ourselves safe and other people safe as well. But how restricted do you feel? And how is that affecting you physically? What are you going to do about it? All of these questions I'm going to ask you to brainstorm on in a little bit. So again, to start this year off, we have to get back to normal. And that is how the month of January is going to go. We are going to focus on one topic, one area of the body, or something else as we go forward. But for January, it is an area of the body, and that is the back. Our first video that we published this year on YouTube, you can go and find it right now, is on back health, keeping your posture in good condition, whether you're standing or sitting. And I publish that video once a week, and I'm going to do the same for all of the subsequent videos because you need time to practice. You need time to prepare for what comes next because you won't know what comes next. Next week, say schools are open, which they plan on being here in Fairfax County in Northern Virginia. The week after that, that might completely shift given there's a new strain of the virus. And the same in your life. You do not know what tomorrow is going to have in store for you, pandemic or no pandemic, but you must be prepared. I came across a post on social media today that said, in the year 2020, we learned. In the year 2021, you will apply. You will apply what you have learned. So, last year, the 9 months that you stayed at home, what did you learn? What did you discover about yourself, about your home? Did you find out you have way too many things in your house and you just couldn't deal with the clutter anymore? I think it's actually interesting because we actually used our homes. Instead of going to work and sitting there for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours, and then going off to another place, going out to dinner, eventually coming home, how many hours did you actually spend in your house before the pandemic? Now the pandemic is here, you're spending the majority of your time probably in your house like I am. Not such a bad thing because now you actually get to see the environment more that you paid money for, right? That you're renting, that you've bought. This is your home. This is where you wanted to be. And now you are here. So what have you learned being at home all of this time? If you did work, if you were a healthcare worker, what did you learn while you were at work? While you were helping the people who were suffering from this disease? Or maybe you were just helping the people who were dealing with their usual aches and pains or their usual checkups that they need throughout the year. I'm sure that you were somehow affected by what has been going on. So 2020, what did you learn? And in 2021, what will you apply? As I mentioned earlier, your foundation has been shaken. Your foundation has been rattled. And as a result, your life is obviously different. I spend the majority of my day in front of a screen. I go to work, check email most of the day, which is really the same for a normal day at work, but I actually have a commute when that happens. Now, no commute. I walk from upstairs to downstairs, and I'm here, which is nice. But then after that computer screen is off, of course, changing from that screen to a phone to check my other email addresses, and then at night teaching in front of another screen after that, maybe checking more email, I spend a large majority of my time in front of a screen. And you realize that, wow, I barely saw my family. We've been in the same house for the entire day. So in your relationships, whether it's with your family, whether it's with a loved one that doesn't live in your house, maybe you're building a relationship with somebody else, what can you do differently in this year? What will you do? What are some steps that you can take? Is it with money? Did you have difficulty with your business? Did you not? Did you absolutely succeed in 2020? Did you have some gains? Did you have some significant losses? And how will you plan for that this year? What steps are you going to take? In this new year, I truly want you to feel free of the burdens that you have experienced in 2020 and that may be carrying over into the new year, 2021. But in order for you to do that, you must be prepared. So for the next 60 seconds, I want you to get a pencil, a pen, piece of paper, something to write with and something to write on. For the next 60 seconds, I want you to jot down some things that you learned during 2020 about yourself, about the people in your home, people in your life, your job, whatever it might be. And then in 2021, how can you apply what you've learned into the new year in a way that will prepare you for your future, for what this year has in store for you? Because it could be great, but you must be prepared. And while you are writing for this next 60 seconds, if it helps, look at the cover of this podcast. Look at the image and see yourself on the other side of that door. Not on this side where you're looking at the image, but see yourself looking back through this door at yourself and tell yourself what it is that you need to do in order to get through that doorway. Standing on the beach, relaxing in front of the water, feeling completely free in the new normal. So go ahead, 60 seconds. You have your pen, you have your paper. Start writing. I'll be back in 1 minute. Okay, 1 minute is up. How much did you write down? Hopefully you got a whole bunch of ideas out of your head and onto paper. Now, that's not the end of this. You got to do something with that. I want you to take a look at those things and pick the top 3 things that you know you could work on right now, starting today, the moment this podcast is over. Something you can start to put into action. What are some actions that you could take to get there a little bit closer each day? And I hope that using these podcasts going forward and also the videos that we're producing will help you to feel a little bit more balanced, a little bit more in control, and on your way back to what you consider to be a new normal, or even a better normal than it was before. That's our goal for this month in January, is to help you to get back and ready and prepared for this new year, back to the way things were and potentially could be. So I thank you for listening to our very first podcast. It is wonderful to be back here with you, and I really, really, really look forward to the new version of this podcast. And I thank you again so much for being here, for listening, and as always, make sure you share this with those around you in your home. Maybe listen to it together like the old radio shows where you used to sit around and listen to stories. Use this podcast to guide you. Use these coming podcasts to keep you on track for the new year. I wish you a wonderful 2021, and I look forward to talking to you again next week. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Justin Flinner, and this is the Gate of Life podcast by My Mature Medicine. Have a great week, everyone.
This podcast is brought to you by My Mature Medicine, an organization that is dedicated to helping people improve their lives by learning to empower themselves and take control of their own life. Any form of reproduction or distribution of this podcast is strictly prohibited. Should you have any questions on using this podcast or information that is contained within this podcast, please write to info@mymaturemedicine.com.